When a human soldier teaches a giant ice queen to skate, every fall brings them closer, and the galaxy will never be the same. He taught the alien queen to ice skate, and it changed the galaxy. The ice of Nivalis Prime looked like the surface of a shattered star. Blue shot through with veins of white fire, mountains rearing up in slow, glassy waves around the frozen valley. Human boots crunched across it with small, sensible sounds. Alien feet, bare, cobalt blue, and currently motionless, rested on the ice as if it were an enemy. Queen Lyriel of the Frost Court did not fidget. She was, however, glaring at the ice as if she planned to arrest it. "You are certain this is necessary for peace?" she asked, voice resonant enough to shiver the icicles above. Beside her, Captain Rencaro tried not to stare at her hair, a wild silver mane that whipped in the wind like comet tails. "The skating demonstration is part of the cultural exchange, yes, Your Majesty, but it doesn't have to be you." He rubbed the back of his neck through his armor. "We could have picked a diplomat, or a volunteer, or literally anyone who isn't the ruler of an interstellar empire standing on a surface famous for making people fall on their faces." Lyriel's luminous blue eyes slanted toward him. "My council says humans respect vulnerability. They say it builds trust." She tugged at the high, glittering neckline of her pale ice silk bodysuit, the fabric catching the white sun and throwing it back in cold sparks. "I will not give them the satisfaction of seeing me topple." "You don't have to fall," Ren said. "That's kind of the point. You learn to glide instead. I can teach you." The words left his mouth before his brain had fully vetted them. "If you want, I mean, Your Majesty." It was supposed to be a quiet job. Ren had done 3 tours as a coalition infantry officer before being promoted sideways into security liaison for the big diplomatic push between humanity and the Frost Court. Nivalis Prime was their capital, their holy ice, their everything. Humans had been invited as honored guests, on a trial basis, under about 20,000 conditions. No one had said anything about teaching a queen to ice skate. Lyriel's gaze settled fully on him now, weighing, measuring. Up close, Ren could see the faint shimmer beneath her cobalt skin, like bioluminescent veins. Her crown was a circlet of translucent crystal that looked grown rather than forged. "You glide on this frozen water for pleasure," she said. "Yep. You strap blades to your feet and deliberately remove friction from the equation. That's skating in a nutshell. And you are still alive." "Mostly," Ren said. "I have the scars to prove it." Something flickered in her eyes. Curiosity, maybe. Or the too familiar ache of someone who'd always been told she didn't get to look ridiculous. Ever. Behind them, a cluster of Frost Court nobles watched from the carved balcony overlook, their long cloaks rippling like banners. Human diplomats stood beside them, breath misting in the cold, doing their best impression of relaxed while surrounded by 10-foot-tall ice monarchs. Holodrones hovered discreetly at the edges, capturing every second for broadcast across 100 worlds. Lyriel followed Ren's glance and squared her shoulders. "If this alliance fails, my people will say it was because I refused to risk my dignity for them." "Risking your tailbone is a weird way to define statecraft," Ren muttered. "But yeah, optics." "Then we shall manage the optics," she said. "You will teach me, Captain Caro, and you will ensure I do not fall." Ren snorted. "Respectfully, Your Majesty, everyone falls." "Not me." The wind bit his cheeks. Ren blew out a breath that ghosted in the air between them. The Queen's feet were still flat on the ice, toes gripping as if they'd dig in if given half a chance. No skates yet. She'd flatly refused those until he proved the surface would hold her weight. "All right," he said, calm, commanding his voice the way it always did when the mission was insane. "Rule 1 of ice. The more you try not to fall, the harder you hit when you do. Rule 2. Falling isn't failure. It's data." Lyriel's brows knit. "You speak like an engineer." "Ex-farm kid, ex-soldier, occasional mechanic," Ren said. "Humans are generalists. We do a little of everything and fake the rest." "That," she said, "explains your diplomacy." He grinned despite himself. "Come on, Your Majesty. Let's make the galaxy's most powerful ice empress slightly less terrified of frozen water. She said no one could love a G. He offered his hand. It looked absurdly small against her, but Lyriel regarded it as if it were a ceremonial object. Slowly, she placed her palm in his. Her hand was warm, the pads on her fingers slightly rougher than human skin, as if she were used to gripping stone and crystal. Electric awareness shot up his arm. Focus, idiot. Shift your weight forward a bit, Ren said. Bend your knees. My knees do not bend, Lyriel informed him. They literally do. I can see them. I mean, it is not dignified. Yeah, that's skating in a nutshell, too. He stepped back, gently tugging her forward. Trust the ice. I have met the ice, she said. It is a liar. The first slide was less than a meter. Her feet squeaked, her body tensed like a bow being overdrawn. Ren stayed close, one hand on hers, the other hovering near her waist in case gravity decided to make a political statement. See, he said softly. You're doing it. I am not falling, she allowed. That qualifies as doing it. Captain Caro, called a voice from the Overlook. Ambassador Kor, human lead on the delegation, cupped her hands around her mouth. Everything all right down there? Just building trust, ma'am, Ren yelled back. One of the Frost Court nobles, a tall male with a spine like a sword, snorted. Your human insists that our queen fall in front of the galaxy and calls this diplomacy? Lyriel's jaw tightened. Ren felt the tension ripple through her arm. He leaned toward her, dropping his voice. You know what humans do when people heckle them on ice? What? We give them a show. It was reckless. It was absolutely not in any handbook. But handbooks had never met Lyriel's pride or the way those nobles looked at her, as if she were porcelain on a pedestal they'd rather display than follow. Ren released her hand and skated backward a few strides, boots sliding in long, easy arcs. He'd grown up on frozen rivers, learning by osmosis and bruises. Compared to that cracked, muddy ice, Nivalis's royal rink was a dream. Lyriel watched him warily. You move as if the ground loves you. The trick is pretending it does. He increased speed, carved a quick curve, came back toward her. Your turn. I do not have blades. Bare feet are fine for balance work. He returned to her side, took both her hands this time. We'll just walk it. Small steps. Slide. Don't step. Trust me. Wind whipped her white hair across her face. She blew it aside impatiently and nodded once. Proceed. They moved together like an oddly matched pair of learners, except one of them absolutely knew what he was doing, and the other was a 10-foot-tall queen pretending she wasn't terrified. At first, Lyriel's strides were tiny. Each inch of motion came with a full-body flinch. But the ice did not crack. It didn't swallow her. It simply squeaked and glittered and held. A second meter, then a third. Ren felt her weight shift subtly from fighting the slide to working with it. Her muscles stopped trying to arrest momentum and instead began to channel it. That's it, he murmured. You're not marching, you're gliding. Let the ice do some of the work. It is not collapsing, she said, faintly surprised. Told you. It's stronger than you think. So are you. She shot him a look that was half suspicious, half curious. Humans weaponize compliments. Only when they're true. Your Majesty, called the sword-spined noble from above. If you injure yourself, the Frost Court will... Be quiet, High Lord Kareth, Lyriel said, not taking her eyes off Ren. Her voice cracked across the valley like a whip. Your concern is noted. You may keep it. There was a brief, shocked silence. Ren grinned. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Teach me not to break my neck, and we will discuss your position relative to my sides, she said. He tried not to think too hard about that sentence. By the end of the first hour, Lyriel could manage a slow lap around the practice rink without clinging to Ren like a drowning woman. She was still barefoot. Her toes left delicate crescent prints in the hoarfrost, dusting the ice. He'd offered her a training harness, the sort human children used, padded belts and retractable lines, But she'd refused so hard he was pretty sure it had dented reality. "We'll stop here," he said, easing them to a halt near the edge where carved ice steps led back up to the viewing platform. "You've done a lot for one day." "Endurance is not my problem," Lyriel said. Her breath curled from her lips in cold plumes, but she wasn't winded. Her voice dropped. "Falling is. That's what tomorrow's for." Her chin lifted. "Show me now." Ren hesitated. "Your Majesty?" "You said all humans fall," she pressed. "You implied it was essential." A hint of sharp humor tinged her tone. "Or is this another thing you hoard for yourselves? Fire, music, the terrors of gravity?" He snorted. "Fine. Watch." He pushed off, picked up a bit of speed, then purposely let his weight tip backward. Years of practice kept him from actually slamming his head. He tucked, rolled, came down on one knee and hand, the impact rattling but controlled. Lyriel flinched. He popped back up, waving off the sting. "See? Still alive. Falling's just a conversation with the ground. You learn how to end it without an argument." "That looked horrifying," she said honestly. "That was a clean one." He skated back to her, boots scraping. "Look, we don't have to do full falls yet, but we can practice how you'd handle it if you started to go. You assume failure in advance?" "I plan for it," he corrected. "So when it happens, it's not a catastrophe, just a plot twist." "Humans make everything into narrative," she murmured. "Even bruises. Especially bruises." Her mouth twitched, the closest he'd seen to a real smile. "Very well. I will engage with your plot twist." They worked through controlled exercises. How to lower her center of gravity instead of flailing. How to twist so a fall turned into a kneel. How to use her arms to balance, not windmill wildly. Ren demonstrated, then guided her through the motions. With every drill, he saw her shoulders loosen a fraction, her movements become less rigidly regal and more responsive. She was strong, absurdly so, but strength used wrong became a liability on ice. She had to unlearn half of what made her terrifying on a battlefield. "Again," she said, after a stumble that ended with her on one knee, one palm pressed to the ice. "You're good," he said. "Seriously, most people eat it way harder their first day." "I am not most people. I am Lyriel Ice Shaper, sovereign of the Frost Court, keeper of the 9 glaciers, and you're allowed to suck at new things," he cut in gently, "even with 9 glaciers." Her throat worked. For a second he thought she'd lash out. He had, technically, interrupted a queen mid-titles, but instead she let out a long breath that steamed the air between them. "My tutors," she said slowly, "did not agree with you. They were wrong. Humans say that often. Because it's true often." He extended his hand again. "Come on, one more lap. This time we'll add a turn." She narrowed her eyes. "A turn. A gentle one. No spins. Promise. If I break you, Captain Caro, the Alliance talks will be very inconvenient." "Don't worry," he said. "I bounce." By the 3rd day, the galaxy knew the Queen was learning to skate. Someone had leaked footage, not of her falls, thankfully, but of her first full glide across the training rink. Lyriel's long body moving in a smooth, tentative line, hair streaming, Ren at her side. The clip went viral. Human networks overlaid it with inspirational music. Frostcourt channels dissected every frame, opinions flaring like solar storms. In the great hall of the Ice Citadel, Lyriel's council did what councils always did when the world changed. They panicked decorously. "This is not how a queen behaves," High Lord Kareth said, his voice echoing off the crystalline walls. "Skating like a child in a festival rink. Children are allowed joy, are they not?" asked Councillor Mara, whose pale hair was threaded with ice gold braids. She was younger than the others, with eyes that missed less. "Our people have not seen their queen laugh in years." Many had begun to wonder if she still could. Lyriel sat on her throne of sculpted glacier glass, posture impeccable. The throne room radiated cold and authority. Her skating bodysuit had been traded for ceremonial armor, layered white and silver, carved with runes that caught the light. Her bare feet, however, swung idly above the frozen floor. "If this demonstration proceeds," Kareth pressed, "you will be vulnerable. Imagine if the ice were tampered with. Imagine if you fell and could not rise." Lyriel's fingers tightened on the throne's armrests. Memories flashed, her younger self standing before tutors who marked every deviation from perfection. The first time she'd stumbled in combat drills, how the instructors' faces had closed like doors. The whispers, "A queen must be flawless. A queen cannot fall, or her people fall with her." "I have guards," she said, "and Captain Caro is a skilled skater." "He is human," Kareth snapped, as if that were a synonym for reckless. "Yes," Lyriel said, "he is." The chamber cooled another degree. Myra stepped forward, cloak trailing frost. "With respect, High Lord, this is bigger than skates. Our people have never seen their rulers try something new in public. If we wish them to accept humans as allies, we must show them that change does not shatter us." "Change comes on its own," Kareth said. "We need not invite it dancing." "And yet," Myra said lightly, "it is already at the door, asking for music." Lyriel's lips almost twitched. She raised one hand and the room fell still. "Kareth," she said, "when you were a boy, did you ever climb the glacier ridges?" He blinked. "Of course, it is a rite of passage." "Did you ever slip?" He hesitated. "Once." "And?" "My older brother caught me," he muttered. "And you did not demand his exile for seeing you fall," Lyriel said. "You thanked him." "That is different." "Is it?" Her voice softened slightly. "What I do on the ice is not only for humans, it is for our own people as well. They must see that their queen can risk and learn and rise. If they see me fall and get up laughing, perhaps the next time they misstep, they will not drown in shame." Silence, this time, was heavy with something other than disapproval. Myra's eyes gleamed with quiet pride. Kareth bowed his head, just enough to be legal. "As you command, Your Majesty. But know that if you are harmed, I will have that human's head." Lyriel's gaze flicked to the open doors at the far end of the hall where, beyond, the sky brightened over the ice valley. "I suspect," she said, "that if I fall, Captain Caro will be the first to offer me his hand." "Absolutely not," Lyriel said. "Your Majesty, we've been at this a week," Ren said. "You're ready." She stared at the ice skates as if they were an assassination attempt. They gleamed on the bench between them, custom forged from Frostcourt metal, the blades a hair thinner than human ones but twice as strong. The footplates were sized for her, etched with the sigil of the queen. "You want me to strap knives to my feet," she said, "and then stand on them." "Well, when you say it like that," Ren shrugged, "it's really more like wearing very long, very thin shoes. I have seen humans stab each other with these shoes." "Those were hockey games," he said. "Completely different context." Her glare intensified. "Explain to me why this is necessary." "For the performance." He gestured to the ice arena stretching out before them, the official ceremonial rink carved into the valley floor. Banners rippled from high spires. Seating terraces ringed the space, already being decorated with Frostcourt sigils and human coalition flags. Barefoot gliding is cool and all, but blades let you move faster, turn sharper, do spins. "I do not require spins to rule," Lyriel said. "No, but the people watching will lose their minds." He grinned. "Trust me. There's nothing more human than seeing something impossible and yelling, 'Do it again!'" She eyed the skates, then him. "And if I fall?" "You'll fall," he said bluntly. "Probably a lot. That's how it works when you level up." His tone softened. "But I'll be right there." Her shoulders eased a fraction. "You are excessively confident for a small, fragile creature." "Humans are statistically bad at estimating our survivability," he said. "Comes in handy, actually." She picked up one of the skates. It looked almost delicate in her hand. "Our legends say the ice spirits watch those who dance upon the frozen rivers," she murmured. that they favor the brave and swallow the arrogant. "We'll aim for brave, then," Ren said. "Solid middle ground." Slowly, with the patience of someone dressing in ceremonial armor, Lyriel slid her foot into the boot, flexed her toes, tightened the straps. The second followed. When she tried to stand, her ankles wobbled. Ren's hands shot out, steadying her. "Easy. Weight over the balls of your feet. Knees bent. Think of it like standing on the prow of a ship." "I have only ever traveled in star cruisers," she muttered. "Okay, imagine a very tiny, very flat cruiser under each foot." "That is not helpful." He laughed. "It will be." They shuffled onto the ice together. The first few minutes were chaos. Lyriel's balance, so sure on bare ice, evaporated with the added height and instability of the blades. Her feet wanted to splay. Her instinct was to lock her knees, which only made the wobbles worse. Twice she would have gone down if Ren hadn't been braced, taking her weight with a grunt that reverberated in his spine. "Humans were not built to catch falling deities," he wheezed. "You told me to trust you," she hissed, clinging to his forearms. "Do not fail now." "Wouldn't dream of it." They persisted. Step by step, micro-adjustment by micro-adjustment, Lyriel adapted. She had grown up on crystalline cliffs and ice bridges. Her body remembered how to fine-tune for uncertain surfaces. Once the terror receded, the instincts came back, repurposed. She tried a tentative push, letting the blades slide. The sensation was different from barefoot gliding, smoother, more detached. The ice no longer felt like a surface. It felt like a partner with its own ideas. She slid, wobbled, recovered. "Ha!" she breathed. Ren grinned. "There it is. That's skating." She tried another push, stronger this time. Her hair streamed, her cape snapping behind her like a banner. For 3 glorious seconds she was flying. Then the world tilted. Ren saw it happening in slow motion, her weight tipping too far back, her arms flailing. He lunged, grabbing for her waist. They went down together. The impact knocked the breath from his lungs. For a moment, he saw nothing but a blur of silver hair and blue skin and the white glare of sky. They slid several meters before friction and mass finally conspired to stop them. Silence. Then Lyriel started laughing. It was not a polite chuckle. It was a sharp, bright burst of sound that startled the icebergs off the nearby cliff face. She lay on her back, hair spread like a halo, skates pointed at the sky. Her laugh echoed off the valley walls, raw and unguarded. Ren rolled onto his side, gasping. "You okay?" "I fell," she said, wonder in her voice. "And I am not dead, nor disgraced. The ice did not open and swallow my crown. Told you." He grinned up at the pale sun. "It's just data." Her eyes shone when she turned her head to look at him. "Teach me to fall like a queen, then. I'd say you're already nailing it." On the day of the demonstration, the valley was full. Humans and Frostcourt citizens packed the terraces, layered in coats and cloaks. Hollow drones hummed, projecting the rink into orbit where starships relayed the feed to distant worlds. Flags snapped in the knife-cold wind, human blue and green, Frostcourt silver and white. Ren adjusted his armor for the 1,000th time, trying to ignore the tight knot in his stomach. A mic embedded in his collar picked up his heartbeat and piped it to medical, but he doubted anyone turned that channel on for the show. "You look terrified," Ambassador Kaur said as she approached, her breath fogging the air. "Good. Means you understand the stakes." "Comforting, ma'am." She smiled faintly. "No one asked you to volunteer for this, you know." "Someone had to." He looked out at the ice where the queen would soon appear. "Besides, it's not like I could say no and then watch some other idiot teach her badly." "Typical HFY," Kaur murmured. "What?" "Human for the win," she translated. "It's what the Frostcourt media are calling our tendency to throw ourselves at impossible tasks because no one has told us we can't yet." He snorted. "Could be worse." Trumpets, glacial resonators really, sounded from the high spires. The crowd hushed. From the ceremonial tunnel at the far end of the rink, Lyriel emerged. She wore a modified version of her usual armor, sleeker, cut for movement, the plates interleaved with shimmering ice silk. Her skates glinted. Her hair was braided back from her face in a crown of silver. The ice seemed to brighten beneath her. Ren skated out to meet her, the sound of his blades cutting a clean line through the quiet. "You ready?" he asked under his breath. "No," she said. "Let us begin." They started simple, a slow circuit around the rink, side by side. Cameras tracked their progress, overlaying stats and commentary. Frostcourt citizens leaned forward, eyes fixed on their queen's feet. Humans watched posture, expression, the basics of body language. Lyriel's spine was straight, but not rigid. Her knees bent just enough. Her strides were controlled. At the first turn, she hesitated. Ren's voice reached her through the tiny earbud hidden beneath her hair. "You've done this 50 times. "That was without the galaxy watching," she replied. "Then show them how it's done." She inhaled, shifted her weight, and glided into the curve. The rink erupted. Sound crashed down like an avalanche of approval. They moved into the middle. "Ready for the trick?" Ren murmured. "It is not a trick," she said. "It is a calculated risk." Same difference. They pivoted so they faced each other. Ren took her hands, their fingers interlacing, massive and small. Together they began to spin. Slow at first, then faster. The world blurred into streaks of color. Lyriel's cape flared, a comet tail of white and silver. Ren dug his blades in just enough to control the rotation. He set the tempo. She set the axis. She was laughing again, he realized. Not as explosively as before, but with a steady, incredulous joy. At the apex of the spin, he let go. For a heartbeat, she was alone in the center, body carrying the rotation he'd started. Her arms spread. Her hair flew out around her. She turned, a tall, bright pillar, carving circles into the air. The crowd went insane. Frozen nobles who'd never applauded anything more strenuous than a coronation shouted themselves hoarse. Human kids leaped up and down, shrieking. Commentators lost track of their scripts. Lyriel's blades began to slow. She pulled her arms in, absorbing the momentum, and glided out of the spin into a smooth, victorious line. She had not fallen. Ren joined her, and together they bowed, him in a shallow dip, her in a graceful sweep of one arm. The sound that hit them was a wall of approval. "For the record," Ren breathed. "That was insane, in a good way." "She let go," Lyriel murmured, more to herself than him. "Who did?" "The part of me that believed I could never trust anyone to hold me up, or let go at the right time." She turned her head, eyes meeting his. "You started the spin. You released me, and the world did not end." "Low bar," he said. "But yeah, not ending is underrated." She smiled, radiant and unguarded, and Ren thought helplessly, "This is how galaxies change, not with treaties, but with moments like this." He wasn't wrong. The demonstration replayed across systems for days. Clips of Lyriel's spin were slowed, reversed, set to music. Human kids imitated it in neighborhood ice rinks. Frostcourt teenagers painted sigils on their skates and tried to balance on human-favored ponds. Memes proliferated. Someone edited High Lord Kareth's scandalized face onto a flailing cartoon character and set it to a loop of Lyriel's laugh. Behind the noise, real shifts began. In Frostcourt cities, citizens petitioned for public rinks, spaces where anyone, noble or common, could skate. Human communities on ice worlds built taller rink railings to accommodate visiting giants. Mixed-species skating clubs formed, their charters filled with language about shared fall tolerance and mutual support in dynamic balance exercises. The political temperature changed, too. Ambassador Kaur reported a 30% increase in favorable public opinion toward humans among Frostcourt citizens within a week. More importantly, joint military exercises that had been stalled by mutual suspicion suddenly found new metaphors. "We train like we skate," Kaur told a room full of generals. "You don't throw someone into combat drills without teaching them how to fall and get back up. That's what this alliance is, learning to fall together without shattering." Lyriel found her days reshaped. Petitions poured in, not just about skating, but about everything it symbolized. People asked for reforms with language that sounded suspiciously like Ren's coaching. We must allow some risk to gain momentum. Falling is not failure, it is data. Her council grumbled. Then they adapted. Kareth, to everyone's surprise, started attending open ice hours at the Capitol rink. He never skated himself, but he watched his grandchildren wobble through their first attempts with a look that was almost soft. Ren, meanwhile, became a reluctant celebrity. Human soldiers back on the homeworld sent him vids of themselves falling off makeshift skates with dramatic flair. Frostcourt artisans mailed him prototype human-sized ice armor pieces, each more impractical than the last. Someone wrote a power ballad titled "Teach Me to Slide," which he refused to acknowledge existed. The only place he could reliably escape the noise was the small valley behind the citadel where the practice rink still sat, quieter now that the main performances had moved to the big arena. He was there one evening, tracing lazy arcs over the ice, when Lyriel appeared at the edge. No crown, no cape, just a simple shard crystal headband and a fitted tunic over her skating bodysuit. "Playing hooky, Your Majesty?" he called. "One cannot play hooky from one's own obligations," she said, stepping onto the ice with the ease of long rehearsal. "One can, however, rearrange them." She glided toward him, movement far smoother now. Ren couldn't help the flare of pride. "You've been practicing without me." "I have been thinking," she said, "and thinking requires motion for me. I was born on shifting glaciers. My mind feels stiff when the rest of me is still." "We could have done walking meetings," he said. "Spared my ankles." "You need the exercise." He laughed. "Fair." They skated in companionable silence for a time, the sky above them streaked with soft violet, stars just starting to prick through. The ice sang faintly under their blades, a soft, crystalline hum. "Ren," she said at last. He blinked. She rarely used his first name. "Yeah?" "When you first offered to teach me, why did you volunteer?" "Because someone had to," he said automatically. "That is not an answer. It is a reflex." He grimaced. "You're getting good at this whole calling me on my crap thing." "I have had years of practice with my counsel," she said dryly. "Answer the question." He exhaled, watching the breath fog. "Because I know what it's like to be told you're not allowed to screw up, to be the one who has to get it right so nobody else pays the price. I figured if I could make it a little less awful for you, that would be a decent use of my time on this planet." She skated a slow circle around him, studying his face as if seeing beyond the jokes for the first time. "Who told you that?" "Family, commanding officers, the usual suspects." He shrugged. "Humans don't have queens, but we have expectations. Mine were heavy." "And did you ever fall?" she asked softly. "Constantly." "And did the world end?" "Well, I'm still here annoying you, so I'm going to say no." She came to a stop in front of him, close enough that he could see the faint freckles of bioluminescence along her cheekbones. "You taught me to fall. Perhaps I can teach you that you do not always have to catch everyone else." "That sounds suspiciously like emotional growth," he said. "I'm too short for that." She smiled. "You are tall enough where it matters." His heart did something alarming in his chest. "Careful, Your Majesty," he said, voice rougher than he liked. "Keep talking like that, and people will think you like me." "The galaxy already thinks that," she said. "They are not wrong." Not everyone was delighted. In the outer systems, where human and Frostcourt ships had skirmished for territory decades earlier, old wounds itched. A loosely organized faction calling itself the True Frost began agitating on the net, claiming the Queen had been human-tainted. They shared edited clips of Lyriel's falls, cut to make them look humiliating rather than triumphant. Anonymous threats trickled in. Core tightened security protocols. Ren doubled patrols around the practice rink and the Queen's private quarters. Lyriel tolerated it with the patience of someone who knew protection was a tax on power. Then the first physical sabotage attempt happened. It was subtle. At first, Ren's team found hairline cuts carved into the support struts beneath one section of the ceremonial rink. The ice above looked normal, but enough weight at the wrong time could have fractured it catastrophically. "What's the damage estimate?" Carr demanded as they huddled around a hollow schematic flickering in Security HQ. "Worst case, the surface collapses under whoever's skating on that quadrant," Ren said. "They fall through into the backup coolant channel, broken bones at best. If they hit their head—" He didn't finish. Lyriel stood very still, hands clasped behind her back. "We cancel the event." "No," Ren said too quickly. Cor shot him a look. "Captain, if we cancel, the true Frost win," he said. "They want fear. They want the message that humans and Frostcourt can't share ice without bloodshed. Do you propose we simply hope the struts hold?" Lyriel asked coolly. "I propose we fix them," he said, "and set a trap." Cower arched a brow. "Explain." "Whoever did this had access," Ren said. "They had time. They'll want to check their work before the event, make sure it hasn't been repaired. We fix the struts, reinforce them, install sensors. Then we wait. When they come back, we catch them in the act," Cor finished. Lyriel's gaze sharpened. "Dangerous." "Yeah," Ren said. "So is letting people think they can gut your rink and walk away." She smiled then, a thin, fierce thing. "Very well, Captain Caro. We will hunt ghosts on my ice." The plan worked. 2 nights later, long after most of the Citadel slept, an alert pinged Ren's wristband. Pressure sensors in the reinforced section registered unusual weight. Someone large was moving beneath the rink. He and Lyriel met Kaur and a team of guards at the maintenance access hatch. Frostcourt armor glimmered, human rifles hummed. Lyriel insisted on coming, over every objection. "It is my ice," she said. "I will stand on it when it cracks." They descended into the dim, cold cavern beneath the arena. Pipes ran along the walls, rimed with frost. The sound of cautious footsteps echoed ahead. Ren signaled his team to fan out. Lyriel moved with eerie silence for someone her size. They caught the saboteur halfway through sawing at a strut. It was a Frostcourt noble, Lord Sereth, a mid-level member of the court known for his conservative views, but not, until now, for treason. He froze when he saw Lyriel, the saw slipping from his fingers. "Your Majesty," he stammered, this is not—" "You sought to break the ice beneath me," she said softly. "Why?" His jaw clenched. "You humiliate us before the humans. You make yourself small for them." Ren bristled. "She's literally 10 feet tall." Lyriel raised a hand. He shut up. "Skating does not make me small," she said. "It shows that I can risk and rise, that we can move differently. You would rather we stand on a pedestal and crack." "Our strength is in our unchanging cold," Sereth spat. "We do not bend for outsiders." "And yet you bend for fear," she said. "Look at yourself, Sereth, hiding beneath your queen's feet, sawing at the foundations in the dark." Guards seized him. Cower read him his charges in crisp, icy tones. Afterward, as they inspected the damaged struts, Ren realized his hands were shaking. Lyriel noticed. "You are angry," she said. "No kidding. Because he endangered me?" "Because he endangered you and the entire damn symbol we've been building," Ren snapped. "People look at you on that ice and think, maybe we can change without losing ourselves. He tried to steal that." She studied him. "You are protective of our metaphor." "I'm protective of you," he said, then cursed under his breath. Her eyes widened slightly. "Captain, forget it." He scrubbed a hand over his face. "Bad timing." "Perhaps," she said. "Or perhaps not." She stepped closer, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from her skin despite the cold air. "You have risked much to stand at my side. You have fallen with me. You have refused to let fear crack this ice." "Doing my job," he muttered. "Yes," she said, "and more." Her hand lifted, hovering for a moment before settling very gently against his chest, just over his racing heart. "Do not apologize for caring, Ren. Humans seem to think it is a flaw. It is not. He swallowed. You call me Ren a lot lately. You call me Lyriel in your sleep, she said quietly. He choked. What? There are microphones in the medical bay, she said, a hint of wicked humor in her voice. Dreams are very informative. Mortification flared hot enough to melt the frost on the pipes. He opened his mouth to deny, deflect, anything. Lyriel leaned down and kissed him. It was brief. A touch of warm, soft lips against his, tasting faintly of snowmelt and something sharp like cold metal. The universe narrowed to the point where their mouths met and then expanded again. Rearranged. She drew back, eyes searching his face. I do not skate only for politics, she said. I skate because you asked me to trust you, and because when I am on the ice with you, I feel more. He stared at her, breathless. Yeah, same. Good, she said, the faintest tremor in her voice. Now fix my rink, Captain. We have a galaxy to impress. News of the sabotage attempt leaked, as all news eventually did. True Frost tried to spin it as proof that the Queen was unsafe, that the humans brought instability. But the footage of Sereth being led from beneath the rink in restraints, his saw clattering uselessly against reinforced steel, told a different story. The Queen had faced the danger herself. The humans had stood beside her. The ice had held. Support for the Alliance spiked. In response, Lyriel proposed something that made even Kor blink. An open skate? The ambassador repeated. For everyone? Not just citizens, Lyriel said. Off-worlders, traders, children from both species. No formal protocol, no titles on the ice, only first names. Kor rubbed her temples. Security will have a collective aneurysm. Ren, leaning against the doorframe, grinned. I like it. Kor shot him a look. You would. It's perfect HFY, he said. And, whatever the Frost Court version is, a shared risk, visible to everyone. People bump into each other, laugh, help each other up. You can't get that from a summit. Lyriel tilted her head. HFY? Human. For the win, he said. Online slang means humans doing ridiculous things that somehow work out. Then this will be HFYF, she said. He blinked. What's the extra F? Frost, she replied. Human and Frost together. The open skate was chaos. Beautiful, hilarious chaos. The rink, seethed with bodies, human and Frost Court, tall and short, graceful and absolutely not. Music pulsed from hidden speakers, a blend of human strings and Frost Court crystal tones. Vendors sold hot drinks that steamed in the frigid air. Kids shrieked, adults laughed, nobles tried very hard to look dignified, and mostly failed. Lyriel moved through it all like a bright ship in a crowded harbor. She skated with children, letting them cling to her hands. She caught a stumbling human diplomat before he face-planted, righted a Frost Court elder, traded jokes with teenagers. Ren spent most of his time fishing people out of gentle pileups and teaching basic stop techniques. It was hectic, exhausting, and the most fun he'd had in years. At one point, he turned to see Lyriel spinning slowly with a tiny human girl balanced carefully on her palms, the child's skates dangling above the ice. The girl's laughter pealed across the rink. Something in Ren's chest twisted. He skated closer as Lyriel set the girl down and watched her wobble toward her waiting parents. You okay? He asked quietly. Lyriel nodded, eyes distant. I was thinking. Dangerous habit. My tutors told me rulers cannot afford personal desires, she said, that we must be tools for our people. But when I held that child, I thought... She trailed off. Thought what? That I would like to see what our children might look like, she said simply. His brain blue-screened for a second. Hypothetically, she added, a sliver of amusement returning to her gaze. I am not proposing a schedule, merely acknowledging the existence of the thought. Right, he said hoarsely. Hypothetically. Good to know my DNA made the curiosity list. Do humans often respond to such ideas by turning red? She asked, head tilted. All the time. Interesting. She pushed off, leaving him standing there, heart pounding, while around them the rink hummed with ordinary magic. Strangers helping strangers, species lines blurring, everyone falling and rising together. Later, when the last skater left and the maintenance bots began smoothing the ice, Lyriel and Ren lingered. "You did this," he said, gesturing to the empty rink, the echoes of laughter still hanging in the air. "We did," she corrected. "You brought the skates. I brought the ice." "Equal partnership," he said. "I like it." "Get used to it," she said. "I plan to keep you very busy, Captain Caro." He smiled. "Looking forward to it, Lyriel." It didn't happen overnight. No revolution worth its salt ever does. But over the following years, what started as one queen learning to ice skate evolved into something far bigger. Mixed species training academies adopted fall drills, inspired by Ren's coaching, teaching recruits to embrace controlled failure as part of mastery. Frostcourt architects designed public spaces with flexible, modular structures, like rinks, they said, that could shift as communities changed. On planets far from Nivalis Prime, kids told each other stories of the ice queen who fell and laughed, and the small human who caught her and let her go. They reenacted it on dirt patches, on frozen ponds, on starship decks when adults weren't looking. Diplomatic conferences began including kinesthetic cultural exchanges, alongside formal banquets, rock climbing, zero-G games, dance. The idea that leaders might look slightly ridiculous in public became less scandalous and more expected. Lyriel and Ren traveled more as the alliance deepened. On one ocean world they surfed together, Ren on a board, Lyriel wading through waves that barely reached her knees but trying the motion anyway. On a low-gravity moon they discovered the sheer absurd joy of skating in 1/6 G, their spins turning into slow, floating pirouettes. Everywhere they went, people asked, "Is it true you fell on your first spin? Is it true you kissed beneath the rink? Is it true you built an alliance out of bruises?" Lyriel's answers varied, but one thing remained constant. She never pretended she'd done it alone. Humans, for their part, changed too. They learned to build for giants, not as curiosities or attractions, but as equal participants. Cities added wide, reinforced walkways, giant-sized seating, mixed-scale housing. Military planners began thinking in 3 dimensions, incorporating Frostcourt mobility into their strategies. On Nivalis, the practice rink remained, preserved more by sentiment than decree. It was where Lyriel went when politics snarled too tight, where Ren escaped when the weight of being a symbol pressed on his shoulders. They skated there on quiet nights, no cameras, no cheering crowds, just the scrape of blades, the cold air, and each other. One such night, years after the first lesson, they rested at the rink's center, standing so close their breaths mingled. "Remember when you said you would ensure I did not fall?" Lyriel asked. Ren chuckled. "I remember failing at that within the first 5 minutes." "You did not fail," she said. "You redefined what falling meant." He considered that. "We did that together." "Yes," she agreed. "Together." The stars above them glittered, scattered across the vast dark like ice shards. Ren took a breath. "There's a new proposal on the table," he said. "Joint colony, out on the fringe, mixed population from the start. They want us to help design it." "Us?" she echoed. "Yeah, a human Frostcourt team, Skating Queen and her favorite idiot." He shrugged, trying for casual and failing. "We'd be gone for months at a time, maybe years, setting up a place where people don't have to retrofit their lives for cooperation because it's baked in from the beginning." Lyriel's eyes shone. "A new kind of ice. A new kind of everything," he said. "But only if you want to. I know your duties here are—" She laid a finger gently across his lips. "Ren." He shut up. "Once I thought my only duty was to stand unmoving on a throne until my bones froze," she said. "Now I know my duty is to move first so others dare to follow." Her smile turned softer, more private. "And to build with you, spaces where falling is allowed. So that's a yes?" "That is a pack your skates," she said. "We have a new galaxy to teach." He laughed, joy surging in his chest. Yes, ma'am. She pulled him closer. Do not call me ma'am when I'm about to kiss you, she murmured. Yes, Leary. The rest of his agreement was lost against her mouth. Above them, a shooting star scratched a bright line across the sky. On a dozen worlds, children pointed and made wishes. Some wished for ice, some for adventure, some for the courage to do something that terrified them. On Nivalis Prime, on a simple slice of frozen water that had seen empires tremble and a queen fall laughing, two people who had taught each other how to move, held on and let go, again and again. The galaxy improbably tilted a little closer to decent, and somewhere deep beneath the rink, the old ice groaned, not in protest, but in approval, satisfied that, at long last, its surface was being used for what it was meant to, not to keep people standing still, but to help them learn how to glide. The end. Skate into more Human Meets Alien love stories. Hit like, subscribe, and don't miss the next chapter.